Snow falls, but not all snow brings peace. Across the world, winter was never gentle, long before gifts, lights, and carols. The cold was feared, and Christmas was no exception. In Europe, people believed monsters walked openly in the snow. Creatures punishing the lazy, spirits hunting children, beings born from hunger, cold, and survival. In Asia, the longest nights brought restless spirits. Women who glide silently through snow, demons who descend from mountains, snowborn spirits testing respect and survival, and ghosts of those lost to winter storms. These stories were not told for entertainment. They were warnings, survival lessons etched into folklore. Because in the dead of winter, Christmas was never truly safe. Tonight, we follow those warnings. From the snowy peaks of Japan and Korea, to the frozen plains of northern China, and across the alpine valleys and northern forests of Europe. Winter walks as a predator, and its children follow closely. There are stories whispered among villagers that keep children close to home. They are stories of a woman in white, silent, beautiful, and deadly. She is called Yuki Onna, the Snow Woman. Her skin is pale as fresh snow, almost translucent beneath the winter moon. Her hair is long, black, and flowing, moving even when the air is still. She walks without leaving footprints, and her presence freezes the air around her with every breath. The legend begins on a night of violent snowfall, when a woodcutter and his apprentice became lost in the mountains. The storm showed no mercy, and the cold threatened to claim them both. Through the blizzard, they found a small hut. Inside stood a woman in a white kimono, fluttering though there was no wind. Her eyes glimmered like frost on a frozen river. She spoke no words, yet her gaze alone was enough to make the old man tremble. The apprentice survived, but only because she found him interesting. She spared his life on one condition. He was never to speak of that night. If he did, he would die. The young man swore to keep the secret. Years passed. The apprentice grew older and married a gentle, kind woman. She was beautiful, calm, and strangely familiar. One winter, during a particularly brutal storm, guilt overcame him, and he told his wife the story of the Snow Woman. She listened quietly and smiled faintly. By morning, she was gone. No trace remained, except faint footprints slowly fading into the drifting snow. Yuki Onna appears only when snow falls deep and the wind howls through the mountains. She hunts on the coldest nights, preying on travelers who wander alone. Some stories say she drains their life force, leaving behind frozen shells. Others claim she kills instantly, turning her victims into statues of ice, standing motionless in the snow forever. Villagers in Tohoku and Hokkaido still warn their children never to look twice at a woman dressed in white, because if you do, she may follow you home. Even today, hikers report sudden waves of cold, the sensation of being watched, or fleeting glimpses of a pale figure disappearing between snow-covered trees. No one knows whether these sightings are truly Yuki Onna or simply the mountains reminding humans that they do not belong there. But one truth remains. Yuki Onna is a spirit born of winter itself. Cold, silent, and relentless. Her legend is a warning that the beauty of snow can conceal lethal danger, and that in Asia's frozen mountains, winter is not just a season, it is a predator. In the snowy villages of Akita Prefecture, the final days of December are never quiet. Children whisper and hide behind walls, while adults lock their doors a little tighter. On the night of New Year's Eve, the Namahage awaken. They are not spirits, and they are not illusions. They are men dressed as demons, but their purpose is the same as any winter predator: to hunt laziness, disobedience, and fear. The Namahage are terrifying to behold. They wear carved wooden masks, with wide, hollow eyes, and teeth locked in a permanent snarl. Their straw robes clatter loudly as they move, rattling like chains in the night. When darkness falls, their footsteps echo across the frozen rice fields. Legend says they descend from the mountains and visit every house in the village. If children have been idle, disobedient, or cowardly, the Namahage will seize them, shaking them violently while shouting with booming voices, asking if they have been lazy or misbehaved during the year. Parents do not hide this ritual from their children. It is meant as a warning, a lesson, and a test of courage before the new year begins. In the past, villagers believed these demons were spirits of the mountains, sent to punish the wicked and preserve balance within the household. Even today, the ritual continues, though mostly in ceremonial form. Men still wear the masks and straw, and the fear in children's eyes remains as real as it was centuries ago. Some stories say the Namahage will not harm obedient children. They will leave quietly, their hollow laughter fading into the winter wind. But for those who have ignored their duties or disrespected the rules of the home, the visit is terrifying, a reminder that the mountains themselves are watching and judging the living. The Namahage are more than folklore. They are a living memory of winter's authority. The balance between discipline and chaos, and the thin line that separates safety from fear on the longest and coldest nights of the year. In the endless plains and frozen mountains of northern China, winter is harsh and relentless. Blizzards swallow entire villages, and travelers vanish without a trace. It is here, surrounded by endless white, that Zhui Mei is said to roam. She is known as the snow spirit, neither human nor ghost. She is something born from the cold itself, an embodiment of winter's fury. Zhui Mei is believed to appear during the first heavy snowfall. She wears flowing robes of frost and mist, her hair shimmering like frozen rivers, and her eyes glowing faintly like moonlight reflected on ice. She moves silently across the snow, leaving no footprints behind. Yet those who encounter her feel a presence heavier than any storm. Legends tell of wandering herdsmen and lost travelers whose lives were spared only if they showed respect to the winter spirits. Those who mocked the cold, ignored the land, or wandered carelessly were never seen again. Some say they were taken into the swirling clouds of snow, their screams carried away by the wind, until spring returned and the ice finally melted. Families in northern China still tell stories of Zhui Mei to their children, warning them never to walk alone after the first snowfall and never to disrespect the winter, because the snow spirit is always watching. These tales are not meant only to frighten, they are warnings, a cultural memory of how brutal winter can be and how easily it can claim the careless. When the cold is given a face, it becomes something alive, patient, and unforgiving. Some versions of the legend describe Zhui Mei as a vengeful mountain spirit, born from a traveler who froze to death in the snow. Others say she is a guardian who tests human resilience, punishing only arrogance, greed, and neglect. Either way, her presence serves as a reminder that winter in the north is merciless, and that the snow itself can carry death. Zhui Mei is more than folklore. She represents a winter that spares no one. The frozen mountains, the blinding snow, and the bitter wind are all part of her powers. And when the wind howls across northern China, those who listen carefully may still hear her footsteps moving softly and relentlessly across the frozen earth. High in the Himalayas, across the frozen mountains of Tibet, Nepal, and Mongolia, winter is merciless. Blizzards sweep across the peaks, swallowing entire villages in white silence. Travelers who stray alone sometimes never return, and among the snow and shadows, there are whispers of a creature that roams the mountains. They call it the Yeti, or the abominable snowman. Tall and human-like, with dark, matted fur, muscular arms reaching nearly to its knees, and massive feet leaving deep impressions in the snow. Its presence is heavy and silent, blending with the shadows of the pine and rock. For centuries, villagers, monks, and explorers have told stories. A lone herdsman sees a dark figure moving between snow-covered cliffs. Enormous footprints appear overnight around yak pens. Expeditioners hear heavy, measured steps echoing through frozen valleys. Sometimes, only a fleeting shadow is glimpsed against the snow. Some legends speak of smaller snow ghosts, believed to be offspring or spirits connected to the mountains. They are rarely seen, yet their presence is unmistakable. A sudden chill, a shadow that moves where no wind blows. A silent warning to those who ignore the mountain's rules. Villagers warn children. Do not wander the mountains alone. Do not mock the cold. Do not disturb the spirits of the peaks. Those who do may encounter the Yeti itself, or its snow ghosts following behind, patient, unseen, unyielding. They are not said to hunt for blood, but they punish arrogance, carelessness, and disrespect. A traveler lost to the storm may feel eyes upon them, hear heavy steps in the snow behind them, and find themselves guided or warned by the most ancient guardians of the mountains. Even today, trekkers report eerie experiences. A dark, human-shaped figure glimpsed among the peaks. Strange, rhythmic footfalls echoing across frozen valleys. And a cold that feels alive, pressing down from the high ridges. The Yeti and its spectral companions are more than legend. They are reminders that winter in the mountains is alive, and that even the largest shadow or smallest footprint may belong to a creature older than the villages themselves. Winter is watching. In the mountains and empty fields of Korea, winter nights stretch endlessly. The wind carries more than snow. It carries whispers, distant moans, and the footsteps of those long gone. These are the Gwisin, restless spirits trapped between worlds, emerging only when the cold is sharpest and the nights are longest. Unlike many other ghosts, Gwisin are not tied to a single moment or tragedy. Some are scholars who died alone in isolation, their bodies left unburied in the frost. Others are villagers who vanished during winter storms, their families never finding a trace. Some are believed to be spirits of the wronged, returning to seek vengeance against the living. During winter, Gwisin roam the mountains and villages. Their pale faces are barely visible against the snow. They glide silently, leaving no footprints behind, their long black hair swaying like shadows in the moonlight. Those who encounter them feel an unbearable chill, along with a crushing sense of loneliness that seems to pierce straight through the heart. Stories speak of children and travelers who ignored warnings to stay indoors. They would hear fainting crying in the distance, then see a figure standing at the edge of the forest, watching patiently, and sometimes following. Those who tried to run were often lost anyway, their screams swallowed by the vast white wilderness. Gwisin do not always attack. Some are said to simply observe, reminding the living of unpaid debts, forgotten kindness, and respect denied to the dead. Others, more malicious in nature, strike without warning, causing sickness, madness, or even death before the first sunrise of the new year. Even today, villagers in Korea hang charms and perform quiet rituals during the coldest months. Offerings of food, small gifts, and whispered prayers are left at doors and shrines. It is a silent acknowledgement that the winter spirits still walk when the nights grow long and the wind bites deep. A monster older than Santa, older than Christianity, older than Christmas itself. His name is Krampus, half demon, half goat. Towering, horned, covered in black fur, with a tongue that drags across his chest. He doesn't just punish the naughty, he hunts them. The story begins in the Alps. In the frozen villages of Austria, Germany, and Slovenia, winter used to be unforgiving. Food was scarce. Nights were long. And parents needed a way, anyway, to stop children from wandering out into the deadly snow. So they created a warning. A creature walks in the dark. If you misbehave, it will find you. That creature became Krampus. Every December, villagers swore they heard bells echoing through the mountains. Not church bells, chains, dragged across the frozen ground by something moving in the cold. The Night of Krampus. The legend says, on the night of December 5th, while St. Nicholas rewards the good, Krampus is unleashed. One brings gifts, the other brings pain. Krampus roams the streets carrying rusty chains, a bundle of birch sticks, and a wicker basket strapped to his back, big enough to fit a child. If you lied, cheated, stole, or disobeyed your parents, he wouldn't just scare you. He would whip you with the birch rods, lock you in chains, and toss you into his basket, where children were said to be taken into the woods and never seen again. Some stories say he ate them. Others say he dragged them to the underworld. But none of the endings are good. Real witness stories? Yes. Even today, in small alpine towns, people still claim they heard heavy hooves on their rooftops. They saw a tall, horned figure watching from the tree line. They heard chains, even when no one was outside. And every year on Krampusnacht, locals swear the temperature suddenly drops, as if something is walking past. Whether you believe it or not, this creature has survived for over 1,000 years. Folklore doesn't last that long without a reason. So when December arrives, and you hear bells outside your window, you might think it's Santa. But in the old legends, Santa only visits the good. For everyone else, Krampus comes first. High above the North Atlantic, on an island carved by volcanoes and endless snow, Christmas was never a gentle holiday. In Iceland, winter was brutal. So brutal that the people believed something walked across the frozen lava fields, hunting. Not one creature, but two, a giantess and her monstrous cat. This is the story of Gryla and the Yule cat, two of the most terrifying Christmas predators in European folklore. Gryla, the mother of monsters. Before Iceland became Christian, there was already a name that made children stop crying instantly. Gryla, towering giantess. Older than the mountains she lived in. Skin as rough as volcanic rock. Eyes glowing like dying embers. And a hunger that woke every winter. Gryla wasn't a symbolic warning. She was a threat. The legend says she can hear misbehaving children through the snow, miles away. Their whining and screaming echo like footsteps leading straight to them. On Christmas season, she descends from her cave in the mountains, carrying a massive sack made of stitched animal hides. And with every winter storm, she hunts. If she catches a naughty child, she doesn't scold them. She doesn't drag them home. No. Gryla cooks them alive in a giant cauldron, making a stew that she eats throughout the dark Icelandic winter. Parents didn't tell this story for fun. They told it to keep children from wandering off into the lethal cold. Because back then, wandering actually meant death. But the worst monster isn't her. Because Gryla has a pet. A creature the size of a house. The ancient Icelanders called it Jólakötturinn, the Yule cat. This wasn't a cute Christmas animal. It was a predator. Black fur, eyes that burn yellow in the dark, claws sharp enough to crack frozen earth. And unlike Gryla, the Yule cat doesn't hunt naughty children, hackfords. It hunts the lazy. According to tradition, if you didn't finish your winter chores, if you didn't help your family prepare before the storms, you wouldn't receive new clothes for Christmas. No new clothes? You were fair game. The Yule cat would roam the fields, sniffing through the snow for anyone still wearing old, torn clothing, because that meant they didn't work hard enough. And when it found them, the cat devoured them whole. Some families even sewed new clothing in a panic, just to avoid the monster's jaws. Even today, Icelanders still give each other socks at Christmas. A tiny reminder of a massive beast lurking in their folklore. Gryla's family?
Even worse. Some stories claim she has 13 sons. The Yule lads, mischievous spirits who sneak into homes during December. But their mother is the reason villagers lock doors and windows during storms. Whenever thunder echoed across the mountains, people whispered the same thing. She's awake. So when you think of Iceland at Christmas, beautiful snowfields, soft lights, peaceful villages, remember, in the old stories, Christmas wasn't peaceful at all. It was the season when a giantess roamed the mountains, when a monstrous cat prowled the fields, and when children prayed that this winter they wouldn't be on the menu. The snow has fallen, the carols fade, and yet, for the industrious, the cautious, the holiday is not over, because in the shadows of the alpine villages, another figure walks, Frau Perchta. Known as the belly slasher, she does not come for joy, she comes for laziness. On the 12th night, the 12th day after Christmas, Frau Perchta inspects every home. She watches, unseen, through windows frosted with ice, through cracks in the door, and she notices who has been idle, who has wasted their time, who has not completed chores. For the careless, she carries a blade, a long, cruel knife, and she does not hesitate. Stories say she slices open the belly of the lazy, removing the innards and stuffing them with straw.
The obedient children? They remain safe.
The industrious adults?
They survive the long night.
The spiderweb face. Artists of old imagined her face not as flesh, but a tangled web of spider threads, black lines crossing pale skin, eyes glinting through the strands. It is said that if you glimpsed her, your shadow would stiffen, your heartbeat would echo in your ears, and the world would fade to black and white. The moral of Frau Perchta: she is not merely a ghost or a demon. She is a mirror to human diligence, a warning in a season of indulgence. Be careful what you neglect. Every chore undone may be noticed. And in the cold night after Christmas, the belly slasher walks silently. The villagers tell tales so children would scrub the floors, weave their threads, feed the livestock, and maybe, just maybe, keep themselves alive.
So when you think Christmas is all warmth and lights, remember Frau Perchta, the season's last visitor, the one who does not forgive idleness, the last tyrant. Black snow drifts, shadows twist, and somewhere, just beyond the hearth, the belly slasher watches.
The snow is thinning. The fires are low. And yet, in the villages of Wales, something walks where you would least expect it. They call it Mari Lloyd. Not a demon, not quite a ghost, but a spirit cloaked in death, mounted on the head of a horse. Mari Lloyd is not a creature of malice, at least not entirely. It is a trickster. a challenger of homes, a wanderer of dark winter nights. During the Christmas season, villagers would carry a horse's skull, draped in a white sheet, decorated with ribbons and bells. Behind it, friends and neighbors would sing, chant, and recite rhymes, approaching houses uninvited. The goal? A battle of wits. If the household failed to match the rhymes, to answer cleverly, quickly, or correctly, Marie Lloyd claimed the house. The group could sing louder. The skull would be tapped on doors and walls. Sometimes, the noise itself was said to bring chills like icy fingers crawling up your spine. The folklore says, "The clever may save themselves. The foolish will feel her gaze long after she is gone." A winter ghost. Visualize it. A skeletal horse's head, grinning, glinting in candlelight. A white sheet, flowing, brushing against snow and stone walls. Bells jingling softly, or perhaps too loudly, echoing in the empty streets. There is something uncanny about Marie Lloyd, neither fully alive nor dead, neither cruel nor kind, just persistent. In a sense, it represents winter itself, relentless, clever, unpredictable, always knocking at your door when the nights are longest. The Marie Lloyd reminds everyone, even in holiday cheer, winter tests you. If you are slow, careless, or unprepared, it may not be kind.
So as you decorate your tree or hang stockings in a warm room, remember Wales, a skeletal horse, bells ringing, moving silently through the snow, searching for those who are not clever enough. The snow is deep in the forests of Alsace. The wind whispers across the rooftops, and somewhere, in the shadows, a figure watches. They call him Hans Trapp. Not a child's story, not a fable for fun. A man, once alive, now a phantom of punishment. A harbinger of fear in the dark of winter. Hans Trapp was said to have been a cruel, greedy man in life. A farmer, an outsider, a miser. When he died, his spirit did not rest. Instead, it became a warning to children. Naughty children, lazy children. Children who refused to obey. On snowy nights, he is said to roam the villages, draped in black, carrying iron chains or a heavy wooden staff. His steps are silent, yet they echo in the minds of those who hear them. And if a child misbehaves, and Hans Trapp would reach through the darkness, drag them from their homes. Sometimes he was said to eat them. Other times, he would leave them terrified for years to come. Hans Trapp and the spirit of winter. Hans Trapp is more than a monster. He is the dark consequence of winter idleness. He reminds villagers that winter is not gentle. Snow can freeze the body. Darkness can freeze the mind. And negligence can be punished by more than frostbite. In some stories, he travels with a group of spectral companions, their chains rattling like storm winds across the valleys. And in the morning, if your chores are unfinished, your family knows Hans Trapp has been there, leaving behind an empty hearth, Peckius. Or worse, the echo of a child's scream carried on the icy wind. So when you think of Christmas in Alsace, with candles flickering in windows and carolers singing softly, remember the warning. Even in the heart of celebration, Hans Trapp walks, silent, black, relentless, waiting for the lazy, the naughty, the unprepared. And somewhere, in the forests under the moon, his chains jingle, a sound that means winter is watching. Winter was never forgiving. Across Asia and Europe, the monsters remind us. Christmas does not always protect, and the snow may hide predators waiting silently. If you survive this journey, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the cold returns every year, and so do the spirits. Watch more episodes for full explorations of folklore, winter legends, and the monsters that haunt our holidays. Keep your hearths warm, your lanterns lit, and your eyes open. Winter is still watching.